So the Yes is a brand new platform we launched in May, on May 20th to be exact. We had been building the app for just about 2 years when we finally launched. So we're founded by Julie Bornstein, who was one of the early members of Stitch Fix, so she was an early board member, and then the COO there. And before that, she was the CMO and Chief Digital Officer of Sephora. Before that, she helped launch Nordstrom.com back in the year 2000. So she's a real veteran in the e-commerce world and is really the driving force behind who we are and what we do, which is why I bring her up. So really, the reason that Julie thought of the Yes was that there's this thing in e-commerce, which is that it's not fun anymore, and it's not efficient, and it's not a great way to shop. And so the Yes is really meant to solve all of those problems, is to say there's this massive availability of choice and of places to shop and things to buy, and yet there's no real good way to do it. And there's been all these advances in technology and this way of really getting to a place where technology can make it more interesting and more fun and more interactive, and yet none of the current options out there really do that. And so what we do is we use a combination of artificial intelligence and really human instinct to help curate a site that is specifically for you, or an app that is specifically for you. So no two people ever have the same feed when they come to the Yes. Each and every one of us right now could open up the app and we would see something different, so that I don't see what my mom sees, what my daughter sees, what my sister sees, and we all are seeing things that are really curated back to our taste. The way that we do that is first and foremost by a quiz. So we actually ask the user to go ahead and input all of this information. What brands does she love? What sizes does she wear? What's her overall style, aesthetic, and color palette? And then as a result, we customize a feed that is uniquely for her. And once she's dropped into that, she can start to say yes or no. Yes, I love this top, add it to my yes list. No, I don't like this bag, remove it from my feed. And both of those signals are really data that gets captured and continues to improve what she sees, both in real time and when she comes back the next time. So that when I go to search for a black dress, I'm not seeing the same set of black dresses that my friend sees, but I see the set of black dresses that has been sorted and curated specifically for my taste, so that I don't have to weed through thousands of SKUs or options, but I know that what I'm seeing is going to be most relevant to me. And what's really unique about what we're doing is that all of the brands we work with, and currently we're working with about 220 brands that range from high to low, all with a real fashion sensibility, but they're all giving us their full digital catalog. So it's not like I'm going into a place that's already been curated or had been kind of chopped down, right? So when you go to a Net-a-Porter or Shopbop or Matches, all of those sites are buying a select edit from those brands. And what we're doing is we're taking the full assortment from the brand, and the edit sort of comes from the user, so that when if I go to, say, Kate.com, I actually realize that there's stuff on Kate.com that I wasn't seeing on the Yes. And most of that stuff that I'm seeing on Kate.com, I don't like, because I've actually seen what was on the Yes is the stuff that I do like. So it's really it's like I've become the curator, or in this sense, almost the buyer of what is most relevant to me from each one of those brands. I would say one of the things that I think is most interesting about what we've been able to do in our short time is our brand matrix. So like I said, our brands are high to low with a fashion sensibility. So we have brands like Bottega and Balenciaga, and we have Prada. We also have brands like Kate and La Double J and Erdem. We have brands that you can only buy on their own sites, like Anthropologie and COS. We have Mango and Aritzia and Zara. And then we have more discovery brands like Recreo San Miguel and Saint Roche. And what we've heard from our customers is that they've had the opportunity to discover new brands that they might not have heard of before, and then also rediscover brands that they have already heard of but hadn't necessarily thought of for what it was that they were specifically looking for. And so the Yes has sort of become a place to not only ensure that what you're shopping is personalized to you, but also a place to find new brands that you might not have shopped before. So I'm going to take a pause and invite the first two people on my moderation panel up. So that's going to be Lindsay and Jeff, not to I don't want to startle anybody. So I'm going to ask you guys to come up, and then we can start with the question and answer portion. Jeff, hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Can you just, for the group and for me, tell us who you are and what you do, and then give us your question?
Sure. My background is in buying and planning. I've worked for stores such as Lord & Taylor, Bloomingdale's, a women's luxury D2C brand called The Worth Collection. I've also done some consulting work helping companies kind of integrate their business needs with their technological and analytical capabilities. I'm very interested in the application from machine learning and customization and really providing a better customer experience. My question to you is, how do you balance the information you get from the machine learning about what the customers are saying, what they like, and what they've bought in the past, with that element of surprise and delight, maybe showing them something they wouldn't have chosen in the past, kind of break out of that bubble that they may be putting themselves into?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I promise to everybody here, I've never met Jeff before, but a wonderfully planted question. Could I have thought of that myself? So really, it's a good question, because I would say probably one of our number one concerns when building the app was that we not create a place where women are just shopping their own closet, right? Where it's sort of like, you tell us you like this brand, and so we show you more of this brand. And so what we've been able to do on the back end is start to formulate relationships. So, if somebody really likes Alexander Wang, we might then want to also show her Balenciaga. And then we might keep kind of branching out, and we'll start to see similarities. We start to compare the way people are shopping. If we see that many customers who like Kate also like Airdem, then we start to surface those things. Or if we see that somebody who bought a specific dress is also buying other types of dresses, we start to kind of double expose. So what we're trying to do is use everything that we have, all of the information that we're collecting, to benefit all of our customers. And we start to see similarities across customers. We've also created a way where you can shop with your friends, and we'll actually be releasing a lot more features around social shopping in the coming month or so. And that is really going to help influence that as well. So this concept of, I can see all of the things that my friends are guessing, and they can see what I'm guessing, and then we can start to have a kind of a dialogue within the app with each other about what everybody is guessing. And that starts to provide the element of inspiration that I think is largely lacking in online shopping when you can't interact with people, right? Like, if you go to a store, you can go to the fitting room, and not only does the sales associate kind of help you, you might be there with a friend, or there might just be somebody else around who's like, oh, that looks great, or yeah, I wouldn't buy that either. And this sort of social shopping within the app is going to really help start to promote that. And I think that will really help with changing the recommendations and kind of pushing people out of their comfort zone.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Jeff, you're back?
Yes.
My favorite. All right. I'm just going to put you up here.
Okay. And it relates to, I know with e-commerce, the risk of return and the cost of processing returns is very high. So you've got a stuff your customer likes. How do you bridge the gap between different sizing runs from different brands across brands? Do you have a conversion chart that says if you're a size X in this brand, you'll most likely be a size Y in the other brand? And how do you really target that and fine tune that?
You're going to start to make me look like I'm lying that we've never met before. But that's another great question. So yes, the short answer to that is yes. So what we do is actually at the outset, we ask the customer for a series of inputs that will help us understand her size. So the first question is just, what is your height and weight? And then the next is what size is your primary size and your secondary size in tops, bottoms, dresses, denim, and shoes. So primary size, are you a 2 that wears a 4 or a 2 that wears a 0, right? Because those are two very different sizes. And then what sizes fit you best in each of the, or rather what brands fit you best in each of those options. And that's when we start to understand what exactly that size is. So when she's saying she's a 2 that wears a 4, how is Frame gonna fit her versus Balenciaga versus Everlane, right? And so we have a whole chart on the back end that helps us understand that. And we continue improving that. So we've done a whole lot of work on our own with our own sizing algorithm, with our own fit specialist. And then as we get more customer inputs and reviews, we start to gather all of that data. So we collect as much data as possible around how brands fit and how specific items within a brand fits. And we keep giving that output back to the customer. And one of the things that I think is great about how we do this is that we don't put any work back on the customer. So actually the minute she gets to any product page, it always has a recommended size with an explanation. So it'll say we're recommending a size 2 because this brand fits true to size. It might say we're recommending a size 4 because this brand runs small. So we're suggesting you size up. And then we also do that for European or other country size conversions. So again, we don't make her do the work. We just say we're recommending you buy a UK 6 because you're a US 2 and this brand runs true size. So there's no sort of like opportunity to start to question that, but we do give her all the information. And of course, if she ever wants to change the recommended size, she's able to do so. Okay, Brittany has a question.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
I can. Thanks for all the instruction over there. Just introduce yourself.
Sure. So my name is Brittany Bennett. I'm a media manager. So similar to Jeff, working in media planning and buying and strategy overall for multiple different clients, some in the retail space, some not. But my primary retail client, I've worked with Carhartt and Spanx before, but then outside of that, right now I'm working with Hudson's Bay. And so something that we try to be mindful of when talking to clients about how to innovate and how to shift their online experience is it is a huge, cumbersome task for them. And I think it can become a bit daunting. So I guess my question is, what's a way that they can slowly start implementing these kinds of changes so that it feels approachable and actually doable for them to revamp their online experience?
That's a good question. So, when we were starting the Yes, we were sort of faced with this, in fact, Julie was sort of faced with this question of, do I go to a traditional retailer and help them revamp their current strategy, or do I start my own thing? And the truth is that what she realized then, and what we've continued to validate ever since then, is that it's really hard to build what we've built. And the existing technology infrastructure is really hard to just redo and layer some elements on top of that. And what we did was we built everything from scratch. So using all Google Cloud, we have 4 or maybe 5 different patents pending at this point in terms of the technology that we built. So it really is brand new from scratch, from the ground up. So I think that to the level that we've done it at, it's actually quite hard. But there are, this is why we are here for partnerships. So we work with brands direct, so we help them we take their assortment, we do all of the heavy lifting, we take care of all the technical pieces, and we then personalize the experience. But we're also able to offer a value add back to the brands, which is, while we're onboarding them, our engineers are spending a lot of time looking at their sites and how they're built and what's missing and what else they might need to do. And so we're able to give these sort of really simple pieces of advice of, hey, you really need extra images in your carousel. Have you thought about adding video to your image carousel? Different pieces that we might notice when we're looking at their site to help them make those bit by bit improvements.
Gotcha.
Does that help?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like you said, it's hard to start with one thing and then build off of that. So I think it's just a matter of pushing them to think through a lens of customization, even just for a landing page experience or something like that. Yeah. And then look for other partners who maybe have built it from the ground up to then extend themselves through. I
agree. I mean, it's funny, I was thinking this morning, I did that sort of glance over to my Gmail promotions tab, which I do every now and again. And I had so many emails that said, just for you. And when I clicked into the just for you, it was not just for me. It was literally everybody else who was going to open it. And so I think actually part of the the notion of customization is actually doing it and moving forward with it. And so I think there are ways to continue optimizing and making the digital experience better. But I do believe that each brand and retailer needs to do something that's true to themselves. So faking it is not going to win customer attention, but perhaps, adding a level of customer service or something where the brands are actually capable of doing, I think is where customers will respond much better, instead of the sort of disingenuous, like, just for you idea, which isn't actually true.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Brittany. I'll let you off the hook, Jared. I have a question, which I will read out loud. Can you take us through how you onboard brands? What are the brand attributes that make a brand perfect for the yes? So great question. So we do everything in terms of onboarding brands. I think that the story of 2020, and probably much before that too, is that brands have a technical roadmap that's a mile long, and being a new platform, if we had required them to do a whole lot of work, we might not have ever launched, or at least we wouldn't have launched with 220 brands. And so really, what we do is we talk to the brand first. We explain all of the rules of the road and the way the partnership works. We find out what e-commerce platform they're on, where their warehouse is, and how they process returns. And then we do everything that we can to emulate their process so that there's really no disruption to anything that a brand does. We have a technology, one of the patents that's pending, that allows us to fully ingest a brand's catalog and then place orders back onto their site without any disruption to them. The order gets to the warehouse, it's processed like any regular .com order, and then the customer receives it in the brand's branded box, along with a lot of digital communication from the yes that is emphasizing that the package that they've just received is from us, that we will do any of the customer service, that any of the returns are processed through us, so that there's a real connection to the customer and a lot of transparency around what's going on. In terms of what are the brand attributes that make a brand perfect for the yes, for right now, we are women's only and US only, so those two things are super important, that you sell women's fashion, accessories and clothing, as well as that you ship to the US. You don't have to be in the US. We have many, many international brands who are shipping from afar. But then also, we're certainly looking for fashion-forward brands that have a real point of view, that have a sensibility, and that cater to the customer that we currently have on the app. We'll continue expanding our brands as we keep building, but we do want to make sure that the brands that we bring on are in the best interest of the customer that is on the yes, so that we can continue to serve her and make sure that we have the assortment that makes sense for her. So Ariana is asking, are the customers rating their fit to help the algorithm learn better? And so the answer to that question, Ariana, is absolutely. So we ask the customers for reviews when they do a return. So is it too big or too small? And we will be rolling out a process that allows customers to also tell us, for all the stuff that they keep, how did it fit? Did it fit well? Just so that we can continue to understand and keep refining the algorithm. And eventually we'd like to start understanding people's sizing, so that they can, that we can help understand, if somebody else clothes fit her like they fit me, that my reviews are super relevant to her, and we can really help customers get that full personalization, not just as it pertains to assortment, but also as it pertains to fit information. I'm gonna let Charlotte up on stage to ask a question. While that's loading, I will also answer Brittany's question. There are certainly expansion plans. Canada would be an easy one, and as part of that, so we would love to do that eventually. We're happy with the size of the market in the US, and we're going to continue to focus on that for now, but certainly more to come in Canada. And still, while Charlotte is figuring out the share audio and video, I answer Sarah's question. With regard to the yes, what are you most excited for in 2021? My assumption, Sarah, is that you don't want me to answer that I'm most excited to be able to wear stilettos outside of the house someday in 2021. But in terms of the yes, I think 2021 is really for us about scaling. So we launched, and our focus since launch has been seeing how the product resonates with our customer, seeing what she really responds to, what she loves, what she doesn't like, how we can make sure that we're something that she keeps coming back to, that we are fun and inspiring, but also helping her find what's most relevant to her. And we've gotten a lot of feedback from our customers. We have a really great group of super engaged users who have a repeat purchase rate of over 35%, who've given us a ton of feedback. And with all of that, we're really looking towards growing that customer base, getting bigger and better, and really starting to drive sales on behalf of our brands. Charlotte, it seems like you're not coming on, so I'm gonna let Kuba onto the stage while I also answer Katie's question. With the products that are trending shown in those locations so people can touch and feel them. Oh wait, there was a first part. Has the Yes found very strong trends per region? And if so, has a live store or pop-up with products been discussed? We're a startup, so we discuss absolutely everything. Right now, our core focus is on the digital experience. So we're actually, working to expand. We'll have a website live soon, which has been in the plan since launch. We have all sorts of expansion plans that we're looking at. But we are definitely using geographic information to figure out how we can best personalize back to customers, considering that women in LA and New York certainly shop differently, especially in January, when women in LA still get to go outside and wear sleeveless, whereas women in New York are all bundled up in their warm coats. So we definitely are starting to use that information to help surface more relevant information back to customers. So thank you for that question. And then Anne, how do you see the Yes fitting into the larger social shopping initiatives for the brands on your platform, like Facebook and Instagram shops? That's a great question. Obviously, we are watching Facebook and Instagram closely, trying to understand what they're doing, seeing how we can be complementary to any of their efforts and the partnerships that brands are doing, but also how we can really offer something unique to both our customers and our brands. So right now, we're in the very early stages of that. When you go to a brand page on the Yes, we surface their Instagram feed, or at least their most recent posts, so that customers can sort of explore those brands. And we also allow customers to follow brands directly on Instagram through the Yes. So there's just a follow button, and then we help brands understand who's doing that. As a result, we help track that. In terms of social shopping, I would say what we're doing is really unique to us because it's all really integrated within the fabric of the app. So you can follow your friends, you can see what your friends are guessing. There are some influencers who are on our platform, and so if you're connected to them, you can start to follow them and see what they're guessing, and you can start to really kind of correspond and communicate back with your friends or these influencers right inside the platform. And so, for us, we know the importance of Instagram and Facebook, obviously not just in shopping, but in everybody's daily lives. And so we're continuing to figure out what pieces are complementary, but that really feel organic to the Yes, so that it's not a forced coordination, but actually something that feels natural and that works within what our offering is and what platforms like Instagram and Facebook do. Okay, Timmy has a question. So much is changing in fashion retail in light of the pandemic. Where does the Yes see itself playing in the new world of retail? Great question, Timmy. So I have spent my career on the forefront of digital changing the world and changing retail specifically. So I was at Google for 12 years and spent the last half of my time at Google working with brands on how they could really use digital for storytelling, which was what eventually brought me to the Yes, is really trying to figure out what was next for brands, how digital could continue to evolve and change their business. And while, of course, I had zero predictions around a global pandemic and never would have wanted this to happen, I think it has accelerated the shift to e-commerce in that it has forced customers, obviously, to shop more online and start to find ways that they could interact with brands that they love, that they could better find what they really want through using online tools. And then also it's pushed brands to make digital kind of more at the forefront of what they're doing. So, you know, I most recently read that Valentino has shut down their Fifth Avenue flagship, yet they are on the Yes. And so I think that brands are starting to see places like the Yes, and really the Yes in particular, as a new kind of real estate. So, you know, real estate on Fifth Avenue is obviously enormously expensive, but when you can be on the Yes and sort of share that same street space with other brands, you can start to explore all of the brands that are relevant to you in one place that feels clean but feels really personalized back to you. I think the pandemic is obviously pushing people online, but more importantly, it's pushing brands and businesses like the Yes to think in terms of the customer and to really innovate and find ways to make shopping more interesting for her. Oh, my buddy's back. Jeff.
Thank you. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the part brands, what information you share, what do they learn from you, what do you learn from them? Do you get real-time inventory feeds from them, those types of things?
Yes, 100%. So our partnerships, so yes, what we do is we are ingesting their full catalog, and we do that, we are refreshing that feed every day. It does depend on the brand, because our primary goal has been to not disrupt their process at all. And so, you know, depending on the brand and the level of information that they're able to share, that depends on the level of information that we have. So brands that are on Shopify, we have a much more direct integration with, where we can pull things in real time. Other brands that are on sort of more complex platforms are, you know, it's as close to real time as we can get it, or as that they're able to provide, but it really does vary according to the brand and the platform that they're on. But we do share as much information back with the Yes, or with the brands, that we're actually able to share. So we share things like, obviously, all of their sales data, any of their return information. But what we're also able to share, which we love, is we're able to share their yeses and their nos. So there's all this, you know, sort of implicit interaction that's happening on the platform. In fact, since launch, we've seen over 6 million yeses and nos on the app. And we're able to share all of that back with the brands, so they can see what people, not just what they buy, which, you know, they kind of always know, but then what do they love, what do they not love, why do they not like it? So there's an opportunity to say, no, I don't like this because I don't like the color, the price, the pattern, the brand. We share all of that information back. We also share some sort of cohort level information, so that, you know, it's obviously all anonymized, but each brand is in a cohort of up to 10 brands, where they can see how they're performing. So they really understand not just, you know, did they do well this month, but also how did it stack up against other brands who sell similar products. And we'll keep enriching that data. You know, we'll even do things like, we share the size information too. All of the customers said that they were size 4, but they actually bought size 6 from you. So they see how their sizing stacks up. And then they'll also see that customer profile. So this brand, you know, said that she loves Bottega, and she also bought a ton of Theory, and, you know, she is your customer. And so we start to help them understand, you know, their customer said they love black, and they love, you know, certain style aesthetics, so that they get a much richer picture of who she is and not just what she's buying.
Fantastic, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Jeremy, do we have a preferred platform? Well, Shopify is certainly the easiest, and we do enjoy brands that are on Shopify. But, you know, I think our engineers love the challenge, and we've found ways to work with brands on every platform. Katie, I agree, and I think our brands are really responding to the information that we've been able to share. I think it's one of the things that really sets us apart and makes these e-concessions partnerships that much more interesting and valuable to brands. They're obviously able to gather so much information on their own site, but this concept of really understanding how they stack up and who their customer is, I think, is something unique that we're able to provide. And the yeses and nos have been just so fascinating in terms of understanding how they compare to a brand's own site. So how their customers are different. And we've really been able to see that the brands on the Yes are different, or rather the customers on the Yes are different than the brand's customers that are coming to their site direct. And we're, you know, very interested in how we can sort of help facilitate the connection between the brand and us, as we understand that customers really want, there's a place in this world for both multi-brand and mono-brand, and we want to help facilitate that, not get in the way of that. Who is our target audience? Is it more luxe-like customers? No, actually, right now, our customer is really women ages 22 to 54, obviously in the US. Right now, our current customer is more urban, more coastal. I think, sort of the press that we've gotten and the way that we've launched has helped us kind of get that customer. But we're really interested in women who care about fashion, women who want to look great, who want a better way to shop, who kind of can see the value of the guests, who love the brands that we sell. But we certainly, while we do have brands, like I guess I've probably been mentioning a lot of the luxury brands that we have, like Bottega, like Valentino, like Prada and Balenciaga, and Oscar de la Renta. We also have Everlane, we have Levi's, we have Aritzia and Mango, we have Anthropologie, we have Cult Gaia and Simon Miller. We've got great denim brands like Frame and B-Sides. And so, I think that the brands that we sell are really representative of the customer who is our target audience, because we're really building an assortment that caters to her. What if a customer is not satisfied with products in her customized list feed? I love that, actually. So we've recently launched an opportunity for her to tell us, no, this actually isn't me. And she says no, and the whole thing refreshes. So she's really able to keep giving us feedback. The truth is that the more she uses the app, the more it's going to get personalized. So, at first glance, she might see it and say see that she's saying no to a lot, which is actually okay. So the no gives us so much feedback, helps us keep refreshing, and really gives her this opportunity to kind of clean it up. So my feed is, as you can imagine, I use the app a lot and have been using it for a long time, but it's incredibly personalized and it's really spot on, but I still know a lot. And know is like my cleanup. It's almost like the way I use my, the archive functionality in my Gmail inbox, where I just I want to kind of get rid of everything that I'm not interested in. So I archive, and then what's left are the things that I really want to kind of take a closer look at. And that's when I start to yes, or maybe just leave things on there that I'll look at later. But she does have the opportunity to say, no, this isn't me, and she gets a complete refresh. And we love that feedback. So we actually have the Instabug functionality built into the app. So if you've downloaded the app, you can just shake it. If you want to give us any type of feedback, telling us your feed doesn't feel personalized, it's super helpful. We will help improve that. So we'll do all of those things for you. Are you guys open to accepting new, smaller companies on your site? What's the criteria? Absolutely. We talk to new brands all the time. Our main criteria, obviously there's certain things that we need technically speaking. So we need you to ship to the US, we need you to offer US dollars, we need you to have e-commerce. But we do want to make sure that your brand represents the aesthetic and the customer that we're serving, so that it is a mutually beneficial relationship, both for the brand, the customer, and actually for us as well. How many brands would you optimally want to have on the yes? Jeremy, I would say that's still an open question. We want to make sure that we have enough brands so that each customer who comes feels like it's really personalized back to her, and she has that really broad range and assortment that makes sense for her, but we really don't want to create any sense of overwhelm. And so I can tell you that at 220 brands, we're nowhere near overwhelmed, and we are nowhere near having that assortment that's broad enough to make it fully customized for each and every customer. But I'm not sure, I don't think we know yet what the maximum is, and we're watching that all the time. How is the yes planning on closing the gap between customers who have an expensive taste and style, but find affordability of those items hard to obtain? Amazing question. So one of the things that we've built that I think has been incredible that our engineers have done is our More Like This functionality. So on each product page, it says, you'll see the page, you'll see the description, and then you have the opportunity to scroll down and you see same but different. And so you start to see items that are similar to what you're looking at, visually similar, but that might be at a different price point or from a different brand, or could even be from the same brand. But what, we definitely ask her when she says no, she has the opportunity to say, no, I don't like it because of the price. And then we start to understand where her price point is. But the whole backbone of the yes is built on computer visioning. So we're really able to see exactly what an item looks like and then keep giving suggestions based on the image and really the attributes of each specific item. So we can help her find things that she likes that are visually similar but might be in a different price point. Does the yes plan to launch in other regions soon? If so, which? We definitely love the idea of expanding to other regions. Lots of the brands that we work with are already either already ship internationally or are international brands that are located in other places. So it's really just a matter of logistics when we decide that we want to do that. But right now, we are really focused on the US. It's a massive, and actually I would say somewhat untapped and unchallenged market where shopping can really be better. And so we're gonna really focus on the American woman for now, and then look at expanding beyond women to men's, and also beyond the US to obviously Canada, Europe, and other regions as well. All right, I think we're close to time. So I really appreciate everybody's questions and everybody's participation. Thank you. I hope you found this interesting. Anybody with any further follow-ups can feel free to email me. I'm just Lisa at the Yes. And I wish everybody a happy new year. Take care and be well.